Good Wednesday morning, and I knew you'd tune back. Well, this week we're doing five of my favorite shows of all time. That's our theme. And so we're having part two of Lou Tirado's story from yesterday. Lou shot down over Germany, and we left the story yesterday. His plane was on fire. He actually had been shot, and he has to bail out. This is over Germany. He'll tell you his story, and it's quite a story. As I said yesterday, Lou is one of my real heroes of life and of the faith. He served his Lord right up into 100 years old, stayed our head usher till then. I love Lou. Look forward to seeing him in heaven one day. Enjoy his story.
Good morning, Laguna Woods. Let me remind you the verse for yesterday and today is the same verse, and it was from John chapter 15, verse 13. And Jesus speaking that greater love has no one than this, that he laid down his life for his friends. Lou, you were telling us about when you got shot in that B-17 close to Berlin in 1944. You were just getting on your parachute yesterday.
And my waist gunner was holding on to the side. He had been hit, and he's motioning with his hand that we're going to bail out. We have no communication with the rest of the plane. The pilot doesn't know what's going in the back.
Oh.
We don't know what's going in the front. All we know is on fire. So we're on. Everybody's on his own. I go back to the radio room. I get my chute. I start back, and just about the time I passed my ball, the plane sort of shook. I think at that point I must have been hit. I didn't know it at the time.
Yes.
But I found myself sitting on the floor and just staring like this way, that way, and I can see the fire going on. But I'm in I can't say a trance, but I was just sitting there. I wasn't doing anything. Then all of a sudden, uh, you know, they talk about the Lord speaking to you and you're hearing voices and that. No, I didn't hear no loud voices or anything like that. But I think the Holy Spirit was talking to me and saying, uh, the thought that came to my mind was that I was married and I had a child. I left a 2-month baby behind, and that I had to uh, leave the plane.
Yes.
And at that point, it's sort of I came back. I would say back to life, but I kind of got
You
my
became
thoughts
aware
right.
of your situation. So
And
you jump out.
right, and I started crawling towards the back. When I got to the door was so shut up that even the waist gun and radio man couldn't open it. So we eventually wound up in the back of the tail. There's a little door which I call a dog door, because in your house you have a little door for the dog to go in and out. Well, this door was pretty small, but enough for us to get through. When I got back there, the radio man was gone, the waist gunner was gone, and my tail gunner turned around, and he was bleeding, and he gave me sort of a farewell, and he just died there on the spot. I looked out the door, and the first thoughts were that we had been told that when you bail out, you try and make a delayed jump because the Germans will shoot you down. So you have two choices: stay in the plane and be burned up, or go outside, maybe get shot. So at that point, you make it. I guess one of my greatest decisions in my life, and I just grabbed the ring, and out I went.
And eventually, and so obviously you made it down.
Yes.
But you had been shot, and
Well,
you got the. I know that you were awarded the Purple Heart.
right. It
for
was
that.
during my descent that I felt that I was wet. Put my hands back and found out that all my rear parts were.
Yeah.
I had been shot. I'd been shot in the leg, which I didn't know till I landed.
And so when you got down, did German soldiers
Yeah,
catch you? Or?
no, civilians. It was like a
Okay.
farm, and
Yeah.
civilians with pitchforks and rifles and that. One by one, they gathered us together and put us together. I was the first one that was, I guess, captured or brought over, and they kept talking in German. Of course, I didn't understand
Yeah,
German,
right.
so I didn't know what they were saying. But there was a gentleman there, all dressed up, and he had a little gun on the side. And every once in a while, he's talking away, putting his hand on his gun. And I thought he was trying to talk him into hit.
Yeah.
Let's shoot this guy, you
Sure,
know.
sure.
Meanwhile, I'm laying there bleeding and all that stuff, and so we sorted it out. But
But eventually, because I know your story a little bit, but you ended up in a prison camp.
I
up,
went to
up.
a number of different camps. I got finally 3 days later, I got treated for the worst wounds, bigger pieces of shrapnel and that. I was left behind at the hospital while my crew went to a steady camp. It was a camp near Poland, and eventually I caught up with them there. And
Oh, good.
so
That must have been good to see.
yeah. And then, but then it was near the border with the Russians. The Russians were coming. You can hear the big guns.
Oh, wow.
So they decided to move us out. Well, they only had room on a train for so many, so they took the worst uh, prisoners that were wounded. And fortunately, I was one of them. The rest of them went out on the forced march. That means that they were going to march them who knows where without no food. And as they got sick and hurt, they would leave them on the side or
Yeah.
die there. I eventually wound up at my officers' camp and met my officers there. And eventually the rest of my crew wound up there.
Wow. Well, Lou, you and the other men who were a part of that, you personified this verse that you were willing to lay down your life for his friends, but in this case, it was for your country.
Right.
And what more could any country be thankful for than people willing to do that? And part of that is, of course, our freedom to worship and so on. And I mean, when I think what it might have been like had Hitler not have been stopped.
Oh, well, we'd be speaking German.
Well, if we were speaking anything, I guess. I don't know, but you know, Jesus also personified this, and he did lay down his life for us. And I know
Of course.
it was actually a little bit later in life. You said that you actually got serious about the Lord later. Not really. I mean, you were Catholic, but
That's right.
you started being serious about your faith actually when you came to Saddleback.
That's right. That's just where.
How did you end up at Saddleback?
Well,
But we only have 1 minute.
it was funny. We were Catholic. My daughter was living right across the street from Laguna Hills High School, where Saddleback got started. Somebody talked her into going there, so she started. The church moved to Trabuco. She went on vacation, and she came to my wife and I says, "Hey, my church gives out a lot of notes and that. And they're into a great series. I'm going away. Can you guys go and get my notes and this and that?" And we did. Here I walk into a high school. I'm saying, "Where's the church? I can't find a church." Anyway, we did sit through both services. I'm trying to cut it short. And get the notes for her. I heard Rick for the first time, and it left me amazed. And from then on, we continued to go to Saddleback. We never missed another service.
And that's been about 30 years.
About 30 years.
And now you go to church in a clubhouse.
That's right.
You've only moved up from the high school to the clubhouse.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I'm so very thankful you do.